On a hillside overlooking the coast of Brazil, two men were found dead, lying neatly side by side. They were dressed in smart suits, as if for an important meeting. Over their eyes, each man wore a crude mask cut from sheets of light. Beside them lay a notebook with a strange instruction: to wait for a signal. There were no wounds, no struggle, and no clear cause of death. What were they doing up there? And what were they waiting for? This is the Lloyd Masks case. Welcome to Curio Hour, where we uncover the strange, the unsolved, and the unforgettable. Today's story: the Lloyd Masks case. The date was the 20th of August, 1966. The place was a hill called Vintame Hill in the city of Niterói, just across the bay from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. A young man was up on the hill, flying a kite, when he stumbled upon something terrible hidden in the thick vegetation. There, lying among the brush, were the bodies of two men. He fled in fear and alerted the authorities, who arrived to a deeply puzzling scene. The two men lay side by side on their backs. They were not hidden or buried. They appeared to have simply lain down on the hillside and died. Both were neatly dressed in suits and raincoats, an odd choice for the warm Brazilian weather. And over the eyes of each man was a small mask, cut roughly from lead. These were not decorative masks. They were simple, rectangular pieces of lead, shaped to cover the eyes, the kind sometimes used to shield against radiation. There was no sign of violence on the bodies. No wounds, no blood, no marks of a struggle. The men did not appear to have been attacked or to have fought back. Near the bodies, investigators found a few items: some empty water bottles, a packet, and most intriguingly, a small notebook. The notebook would deepen the mystery enormously. But first, who were these men? It took some time, but the police eventually identified them. They were two electronics technicians from a nearby city. Their names were Manuel Pereira da Cruz and Miguel José Viana. They were friends and colleagues, both skilled in electronics and radios. They were known as serious, hard-working, respectable men. They were not known to be in any kind of trouble, nor to be involved in anything dangerous or criminal. By all accounts, they were ordinary men with steady lives, which made what happened to them all the more baffling. The two were also interested in something beyond their day jobs. They were said to be fascinated by spiritualism and by the idea of making contact with other forces or beings. This detail would later fuel many theories. But to understand their deaths, investigators first had to trace their final movements. And what they uncovered was a strange and rushed final journey, full of small, unexplained details. On their last day, the two men had told their families they needed to travel to buy some materials and equipment for their work. They left in a hurry. One of the men was carrying a notably large sum of money with him, far more than usual. Whatever they were planning to buy, it was expensive. They took a bus and traveled to Niterói. There, a waitress at a local bar later remembered serving them. One of the men seemed anxious, repeatedly checking his watch. He bought a bottle of water and a packet, and the men left. They appeared to be in a hurry, as if they had an appointment to keep at a specific time. From the bar, they made their way toward Vintame Hill. And that is the last confirmed sighting of the two men alive. They climbed the hill for reasons known only to them and lay down among the brush. There they put on their lead masks, and there they died. The timing is strange. Their bodies were not found for several days, badly decomposed in the heat. Yet witnesses reported odd lights in the sky over the hill around the time they vanished. Whether those lights had anything to do with the men is impossible to say, but they added to the strange, otherworldly atmosphere that surrounds the case. Now to that notebook. It was found near the bodies, and its final notes have become the most famous part of the entire mystery. The notebook contained ordinary technical jottings, the kind two electronics workers might keep. But one entry stood apart, written like a set of instructions. It read, roughly translated, 16:30, be at the agreed place. 18:30, swallow capsules, after the effect protect metals, wait for the signal mask. It was a chilling and confusing message. A schedule leading up to swallowing capsules, protecting metals, and waiting for some kind of signal. The lead masks, it seemed, were part of this plan. They were to be worn while waiting for the signal. But a signal of what? And from whom? The mention of swallowing capsules suggested they had deliberately taken some substance. Perhaps they believed it would allow them to receive the signal or to make contact. And here lies the central question. Did these men climb the hill expecting some kind of contact, a vision, a message, perhaps even a meeting with beings from elsewhere? Or was the truth something far more earthbound, dressed up in strange ritual? The investigators had to consider every possibility. The official investigation faced enormous difficulties from the start. By the time the bodies were found, decomposition was advanced, making the autopsy very hard. Crucially, the examiners could not determine a clear cause of death. There were no wounds, no obvious poisons detected in the limited tests they could perform. Some have suggested the original toxicology testing was incomplete or mishandled, meaning that if the men had taken poison, the evidence may simply have been missed. This is one of the great frustrations of the case. The most basic question, how the men died, was never properly answered. Without a cause of death, the investigation drifted. Was it murder, suicide, or an accident? A ritual gone wrong? Every door led only to more questions. The police explored the possibility of foul play. Perhaps the men had been lured to the hill, drugged and robbed, given the money one of them had carried. But the money and the robbery theory never quite fit. The careful arrangement of the bodies, the masks, and the notebook all pointed to something the men had planned themselves. And so the case slid, unresolved, into legend. With no cause of death and no clear motive, it became one of Brazil's most enduring mysteries. Over the decades, the theories have multiplied. The first is spiritualism. The men believed they could contact spirits or higher beings, and the ritual on the hill was their attempt to do so. Perhaps they took capsules they believed would heighten their senses, donned the masks to protect against a blinding light, and waited for a contact that, in their minds, was coming. A darker version holds that the capsules were poison, and the whole event was a kind of pact, a ritual suicide in pursuit of some belief we cannot understand. Others lean toward foul play, suggesting the men were victims of a scheme involving the money, or even some shadowy group, with the ritual staged to mislead investigators. And then there are those who reach for the stars, pointing to the lights in the sky and the waiting for a signal, and wondering if the men believed they were meeting something not of this world. Each theory explains part of the evidence, and each one stumbles over the rest. The lead masks, the suits, the note, the lights, the missing cause of death. No single answer fits them all. More than half a century later, the lead masks case remains officially unsolved. We know who the men were and roughly what they did in their final hours. But we do not know why they climbed that hill, why they wore those masks, or what they truly believed was about to happen. They took that secret with them. Two ordinary men lying side by side beneath the Brazilian sky, eyes shielded by light, waiting for a signal that, as far as we know, never came. The lead masks case.